This is Part 2, Episode 144. The six-legged flying horse dashed flagrantly while carrying the two Zhong Fangfangs, heading for the Golden Panther Demon. To him, the Golden Panther Demon restricted by Sacred Fire Trial was already by no means an opponent. Without doubts, Zhong Fangfang was using all his strength to take the advantage against a demon of the 8th step in such a short time. As Bright Glimmer of Hope also had others, he should originally have had no need to try so hard, but he had to prove his use to this team. Although he had that kind of relationship with Wang Yuanyuan, how could he remain in such a team just for skirt-chasing purposes? He wanted to prove to everyone from Bright Glimmer of Hope that he had the strength to remain in this team. In these 2 years of holy war, his progress was not excessive, but that didn't mean he had no potential. Especially lately, he had accumulated good preparedness and raised his strength tremendously. Han Yu and Zhong Fangfang separately took the two Golden Panther demons, so there wasn't anything to stop Hao Yue's advance. When he once again broke into another huge hall, a tall and straight demon god pillar came into the group's sight. The demon god pillar's structure was not lanky at all, its height reaching 10 or so meters, still far from reaching the peak of this hall. But in its middle, the cross-section was over 3 meters, and its radiance was quite darkened, although one could still faintly see the shape of a panther forming from inside it. "We are depending on you, Hao Yue." Long Haochen carried the group to jump down from Hao Yue's back one after another, and without need for an order of his, each person of the group guarded an entrance on his own. Seeing this demon god pillar, Hao Yue was immediately moved. Indescribable feelings rose from him, formed of excitement, sad pain, but most of all a great rancor. The 6 large heads roared, and as if Hao Yue's body was fully ignited, his purple crystal-colored scales unleashed a dazzling amethyst-colored radiance, and purple intent blossomed at once. Although this purple radiance was not aimed at the group, apart from Long Haochen the rest all felt chills, and couldn't help but resist with the use of their spiritual energy. Maybe due to sensing Hao Yue's aura, this 57th demon god pillar abruptly lit up, and its dense dark red radiance spread out like a ring of light. Standing on Hao Yue's side, Long Haochen felt as if the demon god pillar was alive. A tyrannical and awe-inspiring might instantly rose sharply. And in the midst of this terrible might, a faint presence could be sensed, as if alive. Wasn't that just terrifying? This instant, Long Haochen came to understand what that purple color was. That was a destructive entity. If his light element could be called the purest of the whole Xingmo Dalu, this destructive power coming from Hao Yue was among the top of the destructive entities. Destruction. Was that a kind of attribute? Long Haochen didn't understand, but was certain that this destructive force was incomparable to any other attribute in his knowledge. Everyone from Bright Glimmer of Hope looked at Long Haochen, showing different reactions. At the time Hao Yue's 6 purple rays illuminated Long Haochen's body, his whole body lit with an indescribable purplish golden luster. That might was like a god's manifestation, floating above his believers, a sovereign standing above his subjects. This august majesty contained an incomparable pride and force. At that very moment, Long Haochen's whole being turned into a purplish gold color, but totally different from the purplish gold color resultant from his previous fusions with Hao Yue. This purplish gold color was entirely his, and the same went for both the spiritual energy and spiritual wings. Long Haochen could sense that this pure and terrifying power of destruction was only at its initial stage. But even so, his power seemed to have changed totally, and terrifyingly. This purplish golden color didn't result from a fusion with his light essence, but the latter was just forcefully absorbed. As the one chosen by the goddess of light, the sign of light's light essence did not show the slightest struggle. Just what level did this power of destruction reach? Perhaps this was not real spiritual energy, but a substantial force, or at least it was not spiritual energy yet. But its existence was undoubtedly shrouded in supreme might. The demon god emperor's might had some material side, but Long Haochen faintly felt that compared to this power of destruction, even the demon god emperor may not have the advantage. But of course, that's only in case equal portions are matched. The aria of the goddess of light was grasped in both Long Haochen's hands, taking this purplish gold in and out. The sword's body even let out some light buzzes. Every time Long Haochen used the aria of the goddess of light in battle, he could clearly feel its excitement from carefreely gliding in the battlefield. But at the moment, Long Haochen discovered with awe that the aria of the goddess of light was not buzzing in excitement anymore, but really shivering. The sword rays of purplish gold color didn't belong to the realm of divine tool, but had some special qualities belonging to the category of destruction, totally restraining the demon god pillar's special qualities. Long Houchen shouted loudly, lifting the aria of the goddess of light high above his head. That instant, all the strong purplish golden rays coming out from his body, as well as Hao Yue's purple intent, came to a stop. The next instant, Long Houchen felt his blood boiling, filled with a wonderful feeling of harmony. The terrifying purple intent transformed into an eerie image, looking like his own image, but with totally different eyes. These were extremely cold eyes, a grim look full of charm, and with a boundless arrogance and contempt directed at any other living things. The aria of the goddess of light was slashed forward, its blade colored in a resplendent purplish gold color, brazenly striking the demon god pillar of the panther demon god. The sword projection made its way into the demon god pillar, until only the handle was left outside. The demon god pillar collapsed, turning into countless purplish golden rays dispersing in all directions, as if it had no more physical substance, as only some terrifying fluctuations of spiritual energy were left to be swept through the surroundings. Hao Yue let out another howl, flashing with purple intent. These remains of spiritual energy left after the destruction of the demon god pillar were immediately suppressed, and Long Houchen fell from the sky in the meantime. Hao Yue turned his head to the direction of the rest of Bright Glimmer of Hope, letting out a low howl in their direction. In the meantime, Little Light's head was lit in shining gold, wrapping his body around Long Houchen. The rest of Bright Glimmer of Hope didn't dare tarry overlong and hastened to return to Hao Yue's back. With a roar, he released 6 spits of breath, bombarding the roof of the hall. His 4 limbs stepped on the ground and his 6 immense wings unfolded, bringing the group into the sky. As intrepid as on the way there, he destroyed the roof of the hall on his way to make it through the sky, and howled at the countless furious panther demons that were far away. Long Houchen was lying on Hao Yue's back, looking just as if losing focus, but his right hand was still tightly clenching the aria of the goddess of light. The purplish golden glint on his body was still faintly discernible. Kia hastened to support him with her hand, but Little Light suddenly turned his hand with an exaggerated movement, lightly howling at her. "You don't want me to touch him?" Kia asked in puzzlement. Little Light nodded to her before turning around, flapping the immense pair of wings on his back. His speed increased sharply as they headed into the distance. Kia naturally understood the feelings between Long Houchen and Hao Yue. Since Hao Yue had him destroy the demon god pillar, he surely had his own purposes, and surely didn't do this to harm Long Houchen. Everyone had experienced countless battles already. Although the previous one was overwhelming in emotions, they all understood clearly the most important present matter for them to do. Sitting on their knees on Hao Yue's back one after another, they strove to recover spiritual energy, in order to be able to adapt to any change in the situation. Although the demon army was attracted to the front lines by the holy war, this was after all the internal part of the demon territory, where they could meet with another demon army at any time. The purplish golden radiance on Long Houchen's body was still glinting all this time, but in practice, he didn't lose consciousness, or anything like that. He had just lost some of his control over his body, feeling a fantastic change in his body. But this change was irrelevant to his spiritual energy, as his spiritual energy had already returned to the light attribute after destruction of the demon god pillar. Could it be that my harmonization with Hao Yue through blood contract went a level higher? Long Houchen thought secretly. He was now relaxing his body, letting the harmonization follow its course. However, he didn't understand why this harmonization seemed to be due to his obtainment of some of the demon god pillar's power. Hao Yue's flight lasted for a long while, flying to the south the whole time. After 2 hours passed, he finally, slowly, descended to a valley. After landing on the ground, Hao Yue's broad back shook abruptly, and the violent shaking spread to the whole crew on his back. Not even glancing at the demon hunt squad members on his back, Little Light swirled around Long Houchen's body and cautiously lowered him to the ground. The 6 large heads were crowding around Long Houchen, but upon looking closely, all 6 had expressions of concerns leaking out. Just what were they worrying about? In particular, Little Light's state of mind was clearly unsteady, whimpering lightly all this time. "Hao Yue, just what am I in the end?" Long Houchen asked in puzzlement. Hao Yue shook his head lightly. The simultaneous headshake of his 6 heads looked quite comical, but most of all, the warm and cordial look in his eyes immediately softened Long Houchen's heart. All 6 heads were lowered, gathering together beside Long Houchen and lightly poking him all around. Long Houchen could only stroke the heads one by one. "I know that you surely thought for my own good. But why is it that you don't want to tell me just what happened to me?" Long Houchen had asked Hao Yue multiple times about his origins and ability, but every time Hao Yue showed him miserable looks, he didn't dare insist. And now, Little Light's head moved closer, rubbing against Long Houchen's body. But this didn't stop Long Houchen from taking notice of the worry in his eyes. Little Light, what are you worried about? Long Houchen asked lightly. Little Light shook his head once again, then suddenly showed a resolute look, shifting his sight to the other 5 heads before letting out a low howl. All other 5 heads howled without hesitation, seemingly making a vow. Long Houchen didn't understand his act at all. Little Light was telling something to the other heads, and making them promise something. Could this be related to me? Now that Long Houchen was totally confused, after obtaining consent from the other heads, Little Light shifted his soft look back onto Long Houchen, transmitting a flash of thoughts. Master, no matter what, we will be protecting you thoroughly. We won't ever betray you. After leaving these words behind, Hao Yue turned back into purple light, without leaving Long Houchen the time to ask for details, disappearing from his sight, actually teleporting away. Never betray me. Why would Hao Yue ever betray me? But what did he mean by these words? For a moment, Long Houchen couldn't help but feel a great headache. As his strength grows, his Hao Yue seemed to become more and more mysterious. Boss, you all right? After Hao Yue left, the whole group from Bright Glimmer of Hope immediately gathered to his side, all showing deep concern as they looked at him. Long Houchen showed a faint smile. I am fine. It should be that Hao Yue made me assimilate some of his power, although he didn't want to tell me the details. But it was surely nothing bad. Hearing him say that, everyone relaxed immediately, and the excitement they repressed all this time finally leaked out. Boss, we really managed to get rid of another demon god pillar. Do you know how many of the 72 demon gods that makes it that we have killed, and that's without counting those 2 demon god pillars we have destroyed? And that's the 57th demon god. Perhaps we have gained another 1,000,000 contribution points. Just how many contribution points does it make for us in total? Even the normally calm Han Yu couldn't help but hop in excitement. Long Houchen also showed a smile. I don't know how many contribution points we have in total, but I believe that we have a little something to question a certain someone about. Reaching this point, the group's line of sight shifted instantly to a certain bald head, showing puzzlement, but most of all excitement. He. Sima Xian smiled in pride, patting the shoulder of Lin Xin standing on his side. Has drugs bro, isn't bro has drugs your favorite saying? Now I will have my own one, bro has money. Lin Xin asked in curiosity, where's that money even from? Sima Xian laughed out loud, I don't have money myself, but I have no qualms living off a woman. My wife is rich. What, your wife? This instant, the whole group's curiosity was roused. Wang Yuan then took out Bloodstorm, and declared overbearingly, we must really ask this Baldai carefully. During these 2 years of holy war we have been going through fire and water on a daily basis, but he not only went to find a wife, but even improved his equipment incredibly. When are you going to own up to the facts? Sima Xian laughed mischievously once again, but didn't reply, still provokingly leaving them in suspense. Kia slowly raised the sickle of the god of death in her hand. You want to be beaten up or what? Don't, Vice Captain. I'll speak okay. Do you remember about the little white flower back in Holy City? Little white flower? No way. Lin Xin immediately opened his eyes wide. After flinging his long hair to the back of his head, he gave Sima Xian a monstrous look. Not only him, but everyone else looking at Sima Xian became full of shock. They were all aware of the identity of the little white flower Sima Xian brought up. The future successor of the Alliance's great auction house, Feng Linga. Wang Yuan and Chen Yinga repeated Lin Xin's words almost simultaneously, no way. Just what kind of person was Feng Linga? That was the successor of the Alliance's great auction house. At the time she succeeds to the Alliance's great auction house, calling her the richest person in the whole Temple Alliance would be no exaggeration. Although the great auction house and the Alliance were linked in countless ways, even a mere supervisor has a frightening wealth at hand. Moreover, Feng Linga could be rated as a stunning beauty, with traits evoking perfect purity. Who could expect Sima Xian to really succeed? Sima Xian showed an air of complacency. What do you call a can't be? This priest is handsome and confident, distinguished and elegant, sensitive, tall and proud. Although I am bald, my heroic martial prowess still attracted my woman, Little White Flower. The two of us are just a heavenly match, a successful couple. And we just love each other desperately. Ha ha ha. Han Yu placed his hand on Lin Xin's shoulder and asked, don't you think this guy deserves a beating? Lin Xin nodded with extreme seriousness. Not only him, but everyone else other than Long Haochen and Zhong Fangfang started to rub their own fists and be eager to get into action. The smile on Sima Xian's face immediately vanished, wrapping his arms around his own bosom. You. What are you doing? Wang Yuan shouted, still not owning up to the facts. So you really want us to force the answer out of you? As we exchanged letters and kept discussing, I found out that little white flower seemed to have some interest in me. Then I strove harder, and when I came to mention that thing, she unexpectedly didn't refuse, and even spoke about coming to the southern mountain pass to look after me. He. And she really came? Lin Xin asked. Sima Xian replied with great complacency, of course. And she came several times. Didn't you teach me that picking up girls required one to be bold, careful and thick-skinned? The first time she came, she sneaked on top of the fortress and happened to catch sight of this handsome man killing the enemies with matchless heroism. What luck I had that time. Back in the southern mountain pass, a female mage alongside whom I was fighting had some interest in me. After beating back the demon army's offense, she rushed to wipe my sweat off, but that's when little white flower appeared. At this point, he couldn't help but display some lingering fears, evidently that was a terrifying situation. Or at least extremely awkward. Can you guess how little white flower reacted? Sima Xian asked, full of mystery. Lin Xin replied, is there even a need to ask? You must have received a huge slap, gotten cursed as scum and then she just went away. Sima Xian replied in disdain, do you think everyone is as narrow-minded as you? My little white flower is modest and open-minded, full of guts. When I saw her appear suddenly, then take notice of that girl on my side, let alone feeling awkward, at that time I was looking for a hole to dig myself into. Even fighting a duel against a demon god would feel better than the situation of that time. Chen Yinga giggled, then didn't it turn out as has Drugsbro said? Sima Xian was somewhat helpless, stop insisting on that standpoint okay? Just listen to me. In any case, at that time, I was really feeling numb, feeling even worse than when being caught by my teacher after making a mistake. But against my expectations, little white flower actually didn't get angry, but instead, she elegantly approached my side and took out a handkerchief, tenderly wiping off the stains on my face. Then she pulled my hand and said to that mage, thank you for taking care of my bald man. Afterwards, little white flower told me that she originally planned on getting angry at me, but seeing me take the blow for her sake, she didn't have any more will to get angry. There's not much more to tell you afterwards, anyway, my bliss is for real. Han Yu murmured, how could it go that way? Sima just succeeded like that. Sima Xian's proud expression came off again, how could I be unsuccessful? Let me tell you, I have now come to understand thoroughly that you cannot judge a book by its cover. Don't judge my little white flower by her delicate and pretty looks, or because of her looks of a wealthy noble girl. Fundamentally, she is not fond of pretty boys, but likes brave men such as me. Lin Xin pointed the gigantic ball of light, then, was this thing made thanks to the help of your little white flower? Sima Xian showed a smile, that's a matter of course. How could she not be worried about my safety? Moreover, I couldn't leave from the battlefield. On the first time she looked for me, she had the materials ready, then brought 3 blacksmiths from our temple alliance, asking them to reforge my gigantic ball of light. Its name did not change, but this thing gained much greater power than before. Saying this, Sima Xian lifted the gigantic ball of light up, and lifted his right hand. Immediately, the gigantic ball of light flickered in purple electric light once again. The purple light curling up inside was not very distinct, but the swelling fluctuations of spiritual energy were really intense. Sima Xian explained, the current gigantic ball of light is a weapon fully custom-made for me. A large amount of some alloy I don't know the name of was added to its main part. I don't know its name, I think it was some pure gold type of metal. Except for that, a lot of precious metals were used up to make the main part. And then, we had a conjurer's help to erect a magic array inside, using 6 magical crystals of lightning elemental magical beasts of the 10th rank. Little white flower said that lightning elemental magical crystals are very scarce, that even in the whole alliance's auction house, there are only this many reaching the 10th rank, all of which were used for me. By now the gigantic ball of light is much stronger than before. The godly purple lightning cannon, godly purple lightning incarnation were all self-created abilities integrated after its upgrade. Strong right? Long Houchen, who was listening calmly all this time, remarked, "From that, I take it that your spiritual stove of godly purple lightning should have evolved at least once, and doesn't have an excessive backlash. That should be related to the other piece of epic tier equipment on your right." Long Houchen glared at him. "What did you just say?" Lin Xin corrected himself with haste, following up with a smile on his face. "Boss, I was just speaking without thoroughly thinking about it." "Take it that you didn't hear anything. You must never repeat those words to Shina. My ability is acquired relying only on myself, unlike someone who lives off a woman, who..." Sima Xian proudly declared, "Living off a woman is also a skill. How about you? Just look at your gigolo's appearance. Who would even want you?" Wang Yuan unhappily blurted, "Stop it with your quarrels. Listen to boss telling us what is going to follow next." Everyone calmed down, and looked toward Long Houchen. Long Houchen signaled the group to form a circle, then unfolded the map. "The Yale province is there. And since Haoyue has been heading to the south since then, we are roughly there." Long Houchen pointed a spot. "Our battle in Yale City will very rapidly reach the demon god emperor's ears. After all, we have just killed a demon god and destroyed his demon god pillar. What we need to do next is to move with the objective of not getting found by the demon god emperor. The demon territory is incredibly broad, even at the demon god emperor's cultivation. As long as we don't make apparent mistakes, he definitely won't have an easy time finding us, just like when looking for a needle in the large sea." Han Yu asked, "Then should we keep going like that, or rather stay concealed?" Long Houchen visibly had something planned out, and declared, "There is a golden opportunity in front of our eyes, but the risk is great. Listen well everyone, the demon god emperor's appearance in the Exorcist Mountain Pass is obviously due to the star demon god Visago's great prophecy. But we have gotten the information beforehand and managed to move a step ahead, thanks to Yu Yi's prompt information. As a matter of fact, Yu Yi brought us really accurate information, and the demon god emperor should need at least one more day before getting to Yale City. Our safety is, for the time being, uncompromisable. Since Yu Yi's information was unmistaken, her other piece of news should very possibly be trustworthy too." Hearing that, Kia's eyes lit up. "Are you speaking about the condition of the star demon god Visago after the Great Prophecy technique?" Long Houchen nodded, "Indeed. The Great Prophecy technique is something we have seen before too. When used in battle, it has extremely terrifying effects. That star demon clansman we have encountered in the illusory shrine should be someone with Visago's bloodline, very possibly the next star demon god. But even such a powerhouse in the star demon clan just died while using Great Prophecy. This means that alongside its massive power, it has an extreme backlash. As the demon prophet, Visago had to predict our future tracks as well as the demon's future, expending far more power than the star demon of that time. So he very possibly has no more than a third of his original force. The head from our night temple Yang Haohan has told me before that among the 72 demon gods, the most dangerous outside the demon god emperor Fengxiu is the star demon god Visago. The demon god emperor is their leader and emblematic figure, their object of veneration, while the star demon god is their brain, no less than a prime minister. And the moon demon god Agaz is just as much the top general. In degree of importance, he's far from Visago. Yet the peak of a star demon god, I'm afraid his spiritual energy reaches the terrifying level of 500,000, something we can't even imagine disposing of. But if he only has a tenth of his strength, and is hidden inside Modu capital city, we won't necessarily be without a chance." Hearing Long Houchen, the group couldn't help but gasp. Their captain actually planned on attacking the third-ranked demon god, star demon god Visago. This was something they wouldn't even dare imagine before. Long Houchen continued, "That's just a suggestion. If we head to Modu, it should be going totally against the demon god emperor's expectations. He should by no way expect that we dared head to his nest. As for the star demon god Visago's condition, we can take Yu Yi's word for a fact. The star demon god is surely still very strong, but even so, his powerful abilities will require of him a good enough state of cultivation and body. With our team's current strength, as well as Haoyue's suppression on demon gods, we should be able to match a fifth of the star demon god's strength with no issue. Which means that, even if Yu Yi's report was somewhat exaggerated, we still don't stand no chance. But if we move against the star demon god Visago, the degree of danger will be immense as well." After exposing their fields of dominance, Long Houchen took another point of view. His analysis had to prioritize the possibilities of danger and mustn't show blind hopes. First of all, Modu Core City is the demon's real core location. Which means that in normal times, most of the demon's strength is gathered in the core city. All the top demon gods, the Moon Demon God, Star Demon God of Death, and Hell Demon God, are defending this Modu city. These 4 demon gods are not present for now, and there is not even any other demon god besides the Star Demon God in Modu, but this doesn't mean there are no forces in the city. In the meantime, although Modu Core City has lost the protection of a large amount of demon gods, the 5 greatest demon clans are still residing there. Also, the demon god emperor has left, but cannot possibly have brought all the demon gods along. Just think, if you were a demon god leaving your nest, wouldn't you at least leave a capable subordinate behind to command the troops stationed there? So I can say with certainty that the demon god emperor, Moon Demon God, Star Demon God of Death, and Hell Demon God have all left at least a subordinate at the 9th step to keep watch. And very possibly not only one, in particular the defying devil dragons. The demon god emperor would at least leave a third of his clansmen there. My safest estimate would be that there are at least 20 powerhouses of the 9th step in Modu Core City. Hearing Long Houchen's analysis, Lin Shin couldn't help but show a demoralized face. Boss, in that case, do we even stand a chance? We can't possibly be able to deal with 20 demon powerhouses of the 9th step. Long Houchen showed a faint smile. This is just our best opportunity. Since we don't even believe that we could deal with that, how could the demon god emperor expect us to head for Modu Core City? Wouldn't that be akin to walking right into the trap? He surely doesn't expect us to overestimate our abilities like that. But for this very reason, I believe that we must go and look for a chance to inflict heavy losses on the Star Demon God. Seeing the skeptical looks on his comrades' faces, Long Houchen continued, take the time to think about it, everyone. What's the current state of Modu City? The holy war is ravaging outside, and most demon powerhouses are away. Although some forces of all 5 greatest demon races are stationed, they are far less than in Modu's normal times. In that situation, it is far easier than in normal times for us to penetrate in the city. In the meantime, without the demon god emperor, Moon Demon God of Death, and Hell Demon God, and only a very seriously wounded Star Demon God Visago resting in seclusion, there won't be any mental scouting beyond our resistance. If we suddenly bring havoc in a certain spot in demon territory, even if it's the demon capital, they won't be able to gather enough peak demon powerhouses to take care of us in a short time. They will at least require some time. It is not as if there is no line of command in the demon clans, but we are not aiming at the devil dragons, their rulers. Kia said, I can understand your intention. If we leave for the capital city, it will first go against the demon god emperor's expectations as, if he definitely doesn't expect us to dare go to Modu, we won't have to worry about the demon god emperor. And next, if we move against the star demon, we will at most have to face the attacks of the powerhouses the Star Demon clan left behind. The other clans won't be able to make it in time. And if it succeeds, we can just leave through the Eternal Melody before getting surrounded by the demon powerhouses, even if we have to remain secluded inside the Tower of Eternity for a long time. This way we avoid getting tracked down and wait for an opportunity to leave Modu stealthily. Long Houchen nodded with a smile, that's basically the idea. Kia remarked, then there are 2 issues. First, as the Star Demons have yet to participate in the war and the Star Demon God is heavily wounded, their Star Demon Palace is surely very tightly guarded. There's no way one of the top 3 demon clans would be so easy to deal with. At least, at our current level of strength, there's no way we can resist them. In those conditions, how could we deal easily with the Star Demon God? Secondly, since the Star Demon God is in seclusion and very weak, even if we attack the Star Demon Palace, he only has to stay concealed in his seclusion. How can we find him then? After all, we won't have a long time for that. Long Houchen responded, yes, these are the 2 issues we will have to confront. Let me tell you my idea. Kia is right regarding the Star Demon's power. We cannot possibly proceed the same way as we did with the Panther Demon Palace with our current strength. The Star Demons are incomparable with the Panther Demons in terms of strength. But we don't necessarily have to enter by force. We don't even have to focus attention on the Star Clan. What is the clan sharing the greatest relationship with the Star Demons? Everyone should know about that. Wang Yuan understood rapidly, the Moon Clan. Boss, are you saying that we should attack the Moon Clan first in order to create a diversion? Every one of them was intelligent people, which is why the idea went through rapidly. Long Houchen made a thumbs up to Wang Yuan, that's right, it's exactly what I was planning. If we can launch a forbidden spell against the Moon Demon Palace, it will not only be the Star Demons, but all Modu's powerhouses will be focused upon the Star Demon Palace. That will be our opportunity. Maybe this chance will be of short duration, but the forces in the Star Demon Palace will surely be at their lowest. This will make a good opportunity for us. And furthermore, after entering Modu, we will contact Yi firsthand, and be able to understand the inner condition of the Star Demon Palace, giving us a good chance to infiltrate. The second issue Kia noticed is the easiest to deal with. I have never spoken of killing the Star Demon God Visago. Indeed, it is very likely we will not find him, but don't forget, everyone, that we have Hao Yue with us. Hao Yue may be unable to find a demon god, but finding a demon god pillar will be no issue at all. So in my opinion, we should not target Visago, who surely has a lot of ways to ensure his survival as the number 3 demon god, and will be extremely hard to kill. Our greatest advantage compared to other demon hunt squads is that we can destroy demon god pillars. Just think, if we can destroy the Star Demon God's demon god pillar or damage it severely, how will that affect him? At this point in Houchen's explanation, the eyes of the skeptical group lit successively. Right, why would they absolutely need to confront the demon gods with force? They just had to target the demon god pillar. And according to Long Houchen's plan, if they can stealthily come close to the demon god pillar, and let Hao Yue break out, even Visago himself would very hardly manage to save it. Given Visago's heavy wounds, even if he appeared in time, he won't have an easy time stopping the group. Long Houchen's look was swept at his comrades. These are my thoughts. Now let's debate on that, everyone. Please raise any suggestions that come to mind. Although this plan feels completed like that, entering Modu will after all be extremely dangerous. Even with the Eternal Melody's teleportation ability, our safety cannot be fully guaranteed. So we will make an attempt only if everyone unanimously agrees. If only one person opposes, we will take another path. I have a second plan, which would be to make an indefinite trip through demon territory, wreaking havoc in demon territory without need to kill a demon god every time, but just to make sufficient inconvenience for them. A pretty good target is the Andros province. Surely everyone remembers about that province, where we previously killed the devil snake demon god Andromalius. The Andros province is certainly the most bustling place in all demon territory. Because the demons are obtaining most of their resources from the sea, if we can reach there and wreak destruction, the demon will surely sustain extreme damage. Their supplies will have even more difficulties, which will be of considerable benefit to appease the Holy War's crisis. These two plans taking place around Andro province surely have greater feasibility, and are also much safer. The only issue is that as the Andro province is a lot closer to us, just eastwards from the Yale province, and we would only need to go through one more province, it will make the probability of the demon god emperor going after us quite a bit higher. If one were to compare the potential results, the first one was undoubtedly the best. Although they had already destroyed 2 demon gods, these were after all lower-ranked demon gods, only able to shake their roots without much impact. But the star demon god Visago was not the same. He, the moon demon god, and the demon god emperor formed the 3 greatest big shots. Although they formed a set of 5 with Saminaga and Marbas, the other 2's power and utility was at most reflected in their clans. But Visago was not the same. As the demon prophet, his utility was immeasurable, acting as the true greatest help of the demon god emperor. If they managed to destroy the star demon god's demon god pillar, shaking the demon's roots, the demon god emperor would be pained to no limits. This would be an immense blow for the demons. Although this would make them chased from all sides, this would be the start of the path of the demons' destruction under their hands. Long Houchen was internally tormented, unwilling to expose his comrades to an excessive danger, but in the meantime, this was a one-in-a-lifetime chance. How could it put him in a tangle? Boss, let me say 2 things. The first one to respond was Sima Xian, who didn't have the least of his previous playful look. In these serious times, he really showed a resolute face. Only, his glowing shaven head ruined a bit of this atmosphere. Boss, I find that plan acceptable. That's exactly what braving danger for the sake of riches and honor is. There's no time to lose when an occasion shows up. The second proposal you gave is also pretty good, but that's just some available tasks that we can take at any time. On the other hand, on Modu Capital, good opportunities are really scarce. Maybe we won't ever have such a chance in the future. And furthermore, we have Princess Yu Yi as our informer. After entering in Modu, we can just make the whole situation clear before moving. With the eternal melody there for teleportation, we can leave the battlefield at any time too. There will surely be some risks, but as the demon hunters we are, is there even a time without risk? Even in Andros province there's a chance of running into the demon god emperor. We exist for the sake of the alliance, for humankind's fight. Danger is nothing. A man should die in the battlefield, buried in a horse hide. Sima Xian's speech was impassioned, and his eyes, filled with violent thirst for battle. Wang Yuan followed and said, I agree with Sima's words. A chance is showing in front of our eyes. A path devoid of danger is impossible, but when did we ever fear danger? We have even gone through the holy war. If we can destroy the star demon god's demon god pillar, we will be humankind's heroes. This will also be the starting point of demonkind's destruction, making us deserve the name of bright glimmer of hope. Kia looked at Houchen softly, and showed a faint smile. Even if it comes to the worst, I will just be dying at your side and no more. Long Houchen wrinkled his eyebrows. Don't talk drivel. We will all survive, and see together that day when humankind defeats demonkind. He seemed to be rebuking Kia, but looked at her with an extremely emotional expression. Chen Yinga shrugged her shoulders, showing an indifferent face. I also agree. I really like it the most when it's lively. When I was young and grandfather asked me about my greatest desire, I said that I wanted to turn Modukor City into a home for my summoned beasts. I surely won't give my approval to take such an opportunity. But boss, you have to promise me that if I die in battle, you will deliver Yang Wenjiao back to the alliance on my behalf. Now only Han Yu and Zhong Fangfang had yet to declare their position. Long Houchen finally looked at the two of them. Han Yu made a wink. Boss, there's no need to look at me. Are you forgetting that I am your retainer knight? I will go wherever you go. Zhong Fangfang imitated Han Yu's intonation. Houchen, there's no need to look at me. Are you forgetting that I am Yuan's guardian knight? I will go wherever she goes. After he said that, Lin Xin and Sima Xian whistled silently and Wang Yuan turned red, glaring fiercely at Zhong Fangfang, who acted as if he saw nothing. Actually, Zhong Fangfang still had apprehensions, but he was, after all, not a genuine member from Bright Glimmer of Hope. Since everyone already made their resolve, how could this outsider spoil all the fun? Moreover, Wang Yuan already approved and his words were still sincere. Even though the danger was extreme, he preferred to face it alongside Wang Yuan rather than hear grievous news a short time later. Long Houchen didn't think his comrades would also delightedly follow his first proposal full of danger. Taking a deep breath, he responded, in that case, let us make a careful analysis and plan out for the worst case scenario and extremely thoroughly. This video will end here.